There's a certain kind of mind that never shuts off. Even in silence, it hums, replaying, analyzing, dissecting moments that others forget. For most people, peace is a place they visit, but for the overthinker, it's a place they can never quite reach. Their body may rest, but their mind keeps spinning, not out of choice, but out of habit. Psychologists describe overthinking as cognitive rumination, the endless mental replay of past mistakes, possible futures, and invisible scenarios. But for those who live inside it, it doesn't feel like rumination. It feels like survival. They overthink because somewhere deep down, they believe that if they just analyze hard enough, they can prevent pain. If they prepare for every outcome, they can stay safe. But safety, for an overthinker, is a moving target. The mind finds peace only for a moment before whispering, "What if you miss something?" It's like standing on a calm shore while waves of what-ifs constantly crash at your feet. To everyone else, they seem intense, even dramatic. But to them, this is normal. The only way they've ever known how to exist. Many overthinkers grew up in unpredictable environments. Homes where moods changed without warning, where love came with tension, where mistakes carried consequences too heavy for a child to bear. In those moments, they learned that control was safety, so they became masters of prediction. Always one thought ahead, scanning for danger, planning for disappointment. And years later, that survival skill never turned off. The tragedy is that what once protected them now imprisons them. Their brain doesn't rest because it doesn't trust rest. Quiet feels dangerous. Stillness feels like waiting for the next storm. So they keep thinking, analyzing, preparing, not realizing that the war they're fighting ended long ago. The overthinker lives between two timelines, one in the past, one in the future. The present feels like a place they visit only by accident. In the past, they replay what went wrong. In the future, they predict what could go wrong. And both are exhausting. This kind of mental time travel is fueled by anxiety, not always visible, but always humming beneath the surface. The mind becomes like a browser with too many tabs open, none of them closing, each one whispering for attention. Psychologists call this hypervigilance of the mind. It's the brain's way of staying prepared in a world it doesn't feel safe in, but constant vigilance has a cost. When you're always bracing for something, your body forgets what relaxation feels like. Even joy feels temporary. A compliment becomes an overanalysis of tone. A text message becomes a hidden code. A small silence becomes a threat. The overthinker isn't trying to find problems. Their nervous system is wired to expect them. And yet, overthinkers are often the most compassionate people you'll meet. Their depth comes from their awareness. They notice what others miss. They remember small details, subtle emotions, quiet shifts in energy. But what makes them empathetic also makes them tired. They absorb too much, carry too much, and struggle to let go. Because letting go feels like losing control. Overthinkers crave peace the way drowning people crave air. But every time peace gets close, their brain pulls them back, whispering, "You can rest later, just figure this out first." But later never comes. Overthinking is not just a mental habit. It's an emotional defense mechanism. It's how the nervous system tries to make sense of chaos. When the body holds unprocessed emotions, grief, fear, guilt, the mind takes over the work. It starts thinking about feelings instead of feeling them. It becomes the manager of emotions rather than their witness. This is why overthinkers often struggle with emotional intimacy. They love deeply, but their mind interrupts every heartbeat with questions. Do they really mean it? What if it changes? What if I ruin it? For them, love isn't just felt. It's studied, measured, tested. They confuse analysis with safety. Psychologists describe this as emotional overregulation. The mind tries to control what the heart feels to avoid vulnerability. But the more control it seeks, the further it drifts from peace. The brain can solve problems, but not feelings. And yet the overthinker keeps trying, building castles of logic on the ocean of emotion. They don't realize that the very thing they're trying to fix, the fear of uncertainty, is the one thing that can't be fixed by thought. It can only be lived through. But living through it requires trust. Trust in timing, in people, in themselves. And for someone whose safety once depended on control, that kind of trust feels impossible. Healing for an overthinker isn't about stopping the thoughts. It's about changing the relationship with them. The mind will always think. That's its job. The goal is not to silence it, but to soften its grip. to learn the art of observing without obeying. Therapists call this process metacognitive awareness. The ability to see your thoughts without being trapped by them. Instead of asking, "Why am I thinking this?" you start asking, "Is this thought helpful right now?" That small shift changes everything. It turns the mind from a prison into a companion. But healing requires patience. Overthinkers are used to fixing things quickly. They want peace to be instant. But peace doesn't come through analysis. It comes through allowance, through breathing into the moment instead of dissecting it, through feeling instead of forecasting. Sometimes the most radical act for an overthinker is to do nothing, to sit in uncertainty and let it exist, to not send the text, not replay the conversation, not search for meaning in silence. Because sometimes silence isn't rejection, it's just silence. There comes a moment when every overthinker gets tired, not of life, but of the noise inside their head. It's a quiet kind of exhaustion, the kind that makes you crave simplicity. You start wanting things that don't require decoding. Conversations without analysis, love without puzzles, peace without performance. And that's the turning point. The realization that peace isn't something to find, it's something to allow. It's what's left when you stop arguing with the present moment, when you stop asking, "What if?" and start whispering, "Even if." Overthinkers don't need to become someone else to heal. They don't need to kill their depth or dull their sensitivity. They just need to redirect it inward, to use that same compassion they give to others on themselves, to realize that their mind isn't broken. It's just tired of trying to protect them. When they finally rest, they discover something profound, that the world doesn't collapse when they stop thinking. The sky doesn't fall. The people who love them stay. And for the first time, they can simply exist. Not as problem solvers, not as planners, but as human beings finally learning how to breathe.